This is the O2 collection interview, so it's nothing fancy at all. You have a very young energy.
Okay, thank you.
Vibe, which is good.
Thank you.
So when I seen, cause I was driving down the road in Milton, and I seen one of your signs, and oh, sorry, let's do this. What's up, everybody? This is Caleb from the O2 collection. I'm sitting down with LaKresha Roberts. She's running for Attorney General.
Correct.
So you can vote for her on September 6th. We just talked about you being from Newcastle and going to high school in Newcastle. So what town did you grow up in?
I grew up in Newcastle, so I was born in Wilmington, grew up in Newcastle. Okay. A neighborhood called Buena Vista is where I started out, and then I moved to Rutledge a little while later.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And you knocking on people's doors today, handing out flyers and stuff like that.
95 degrees, but
95 degrees.
Got
You're doing your thing.
Okay.
That's why I said it's a youthful vibe, youthful energy. So the Democratic primary is September 6th.
Yes.
But the regular election is
November 6th.
November 6th.
Or 6th, okay.
So if I'm registered independent, that means I cannot
vote in the primary.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So I should probably go register as a Democrat. Is it too late to do
it's
that?
Too late.
I registered to vote, but I'll vote for you when
I'll
vote for you when it comes to the
regular election. Very good. Yeah, I mean, that's the tough part about being an independent is that if you're not affiliated with a party in the primary, you don't get a chance to vote.
Right. And it's tough too because you sign up when you're 16 when you go and get your driver's license.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not anything. I'm just independent. So.
Right.
But then it really does affect. The way that you vote. So that's a little bit later in this interview. When I was riding down the street and I was looking up different names that I saw on signs, I was looking at your website and it was talking about like criminal justice reform and being able to change serious things about our culture that are near and dear to my heart. So could you talk about that for a little bit? Just because I think a lot of kids, I say kids like I'm an adult, but 21, it's like you're still coming out of, you're a young adult.
Right.
And a lot of things that I see on politics are kind of like up here, but when you see something serious like, oh, we need to reform the criminal justice system, that's touched everybody.
Exactly.
And especially people in the black community, it's touched everybody. So.
You're right. That's one of the reasons why I'm running, because I worked at the Department of Justice my entire career. Okay. And I've been an attorney for about 10 years.
Okay.
And one thing that concerned me was our criminal justice system. And I'm a parent. I have 2 kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-month-old. And I thought a lot about how, this system, like you said, it touches everyone some way, how it may impact them down the line. And in Delaware, we have a lot of problems with our criminal justice system.
A lot of problems.
And we need to put in the work to make sure that it's fair to everyone throughout the state, whether it's based on, your race or ethnicity, whether you're struggling with issues related to substance abuse, whatever your socioeconomic status, it needs to be fair to everyone.
Yeah.
And, people need an opportunity to vote for a candidate that's truly dedicated to doing that. Right. And that's why I decided to run. That's where my focus is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you were saying like substance abuse problems. I think a lot of times, I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but most people that I know that have been to prison are there for something that has to do with substance abuse.
Right.
Whether it's taking it or distributing it or so-and-so. But I was listening to something the other day where somebody was saying, what if we looked at substance abuse as if it was a disease rather than a crime? Like nobody looks down the road in their life and says, oh, I want to be addicted to this, I want to be addicted to that. So why don't we look at those people with, rather than just incarcerating people, try and rehabilitate people in the society and say, you have these problems over here, we're going to try and help you get back on the straight and narrow as it goes. Everybody's got their different version of the straight and narrow, but we can all agree that people shouldn't be addicted to substances.
And I think along the lines of what you're saying, the straight and narrow serves everyone, right? It keeps the public safe because we're, reducing the criminal events, reducing their risk of being a victim of the crime, and then On the other side of things, it's improving a quality of life for someone that would be considered a defendant in the criminal justice process. The reality is we're either going to be spending, over $40,000 a year to incarcerate someone, or we're going to invest in programs in the community to rehabilitate them so that they're not committing crimes to begin with.
And
So,
I'm sure that's less than $40,000 per person.
Exactly. It's a lot less. And it allows people to stay connected to the community and work and have the support of their friends and family. We have to really start investing in our people. And that's one of the changes that I think is really important in our criminal justice system. Specifically with regard to substance abuse, we know that treatment is very limited in correctional institutions, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But we don't want to send people who commit low-level offenses to support their habit. We don't want to send them to corrections. We want to make sure that they have treatment facilities in the state that can help them turn their lives around.
Like mandatory sentencing, is that something that we have in Delaware?
We do have minimum mandatory sentencing.
Do we really?
Yeah. And that's part of the criminal justice system that needs to change.
Yeah.
Because every case is unique, every circumstance is different, and we need to make sure that judges are in a position to, take all the facts into consideration and decide what's the best way to serve.
Yeah. It's like, it blows my mind, to be honest with you, and it's awesome to talk to you, and because this is something that's going right on in Delaware. Like when you watch CNN or you watch Fox News, you see stuff that's happening on a level where you can't just email somebody and sit down and...
Well, I think you raise a very legitimate point. Sadly, these days, politics you see the extremes.
Yeah.
But I see the Office of Attorney General as that middle ground, because it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. When you come into the system, or an independent, when you come into the system, you want that system to be fair to everyone. Your party affiliation, shouldn't impact whether or not you want the system to be fair to everyone in the state of Delaware. So I think that this is an interesting office where we should be able to find some commonality about what the goals should be about making people safe and making people have confidence in our system. And I hope that that's just, at least from the perspective of the Office of Attorney General, I hope that's just a basis for people to say, what, I don't want to deal with politics because it's too negative. Just find your common ground, whatever subject that's of interest to you, and use that as a way to really educate yourself about what the office does and how it could impact you or someone that you care about.
So what, if you could tell people my age, college age, young adults, going into the workforce, going into politics and this thing, one thing that you could say to people in this generation, what's one thing we could do to make a difference politically? You
have to vote. You absolutely have to vote. I think that, oftentimes, and it's not just a function of, age, or it's never really that simple. I think in general, a lot of people feel like, their vote doesn't matter. And it really does, because these days there is so much money and influence behind politics that your voice is lost if you don't exercise your right to vote. You've got to go. If you want people to care about what you care about, you've got to vote.
Right.
So if you want to show that you actually are a person who is engaged and paying attention, and you want your office holder to know that I'm going to hold you accountable every year when you're up for re-election, you need to be out there voting, because that information is accessible. I don't know that there's any other way to explain it other than your vote is your voice. And it is so important that you exercise it.